We hear a lot about businesses on the road to net zero and national government, but perhaps, for better or for worse, we hear slightly less about local authorities sometimes and their role that they can play. You were talking about that in the panel debate just now, and could you outline why you think they're uniquely placed to tackle the problem?
Well, the politics of this have changed. Now more than 300 local authorities across the country have declared a climate emergency. We have 96 members, as I speak today, who have made that commitment to align themselves and their actions with a 1.5 degree world and what Paris committed to. The reality is, local authorities have powers that they can use to make climate action a reality in a way that meets the ambitions and aspirations and needs of their community. They already have planning powers, they already have procurement powers, they already have some kind of lever, some of them over transport, some of them will own homes, in fact, because they will own social housing. Lots of those things actually mean that they can do a lot to be able to reduce the emissions in their own communities, and they've got a role in terms of leadership, because unlike national government, which can sometimes feel a bit distant, local authorities live around the corner from you. They are doing this for their own communities, and they want to make sure that they have a legacy. What better legacy can there be than making sure that your local community is resilient to climate change and is doing their own bit to be able to reduce emissions and tackle climate change? That's why these people are in a good place. They know the businesses, they know their residents, they've got local power. They need more, and that's what we're working on now, to understand how they can use the powers they've got and what other powers that they need. But they can do a lot, and they are key partners if national government really wants to be able to meet net zero.
Can they actually help businesses reach net zero?
Absolutely. If you think about it, they can be a big procurer of services in their own communities, right? And if you start setting standards for things like, have you got a low carbon supply chain? Have you thought about how you are getting your staff to and from work? What is your building like, and so forth? They can start making those conditions for their own procurement. But they can also set the standards for the regeneration of the town centre. We know that Oxford, for example, worked very closely with the people who continue to own the shopping centre in the middle of Oxford, Land Securities. Land Securities went, or now it's called Landsec. Landsec went to Oxford and said, we want to be able to transform our shopping centre, and Oxford said, well, we want it to be super sustainable. That happened to be that Landsec said, well, so do we. Now they've got a framework that they developed with Oxford City Council, which they can then use for further refurbishment of their shopping centres across the country. These kind of things mean that you can actually get really good, exciting solutions that work in communities that can then be transferred to other places and made to work in those communities too. Because the reality is, there's a reason why we've got local government, because local places are slightly different from each other. So we've got to have solutions that work for those places. But there is a lot that we can learn from each other, and that's why a network like we've got helps those people work with each other and work with business too. Because the reality is, business has got a lot of solutions for local authorities, and local authorities can send very strong signals to business about what kind of businesses they want in their community and how they can be more sustainable.